Hi, my name is Ash and I'm one of the senior clinical perfusionists at Barts Hospital. Welcome to the Cardiohelp Heart and Lung Support System for ECMO. In this video, we'll be taking you through the Cardiohelp hardware, orientating you to the multiple tabs on the software, as well as introducing you to the Seacrest gas and air blender and the ECMO disposable circuit. The Cardiohelp is one of the two hardwares used at Barts Hospital, and it's the preferred one for retrievals due to its compact size and its easy-to-use interface. The blue safety guard found on the Cardiohelp runs across the whole console to protect the hardware from any disturbances. When the patient is on ECMO, the blue guard should be kept in the horizontal position to protect the oxygenator disposable. If the user requires access to the oxygenator, simply press the two buttons found on the Cardiohelp, lift up into the vertical position. The Cardiohelp should never be lifted or carried using the blue guard, because this will cause damage to the guard. Instead, use the metal carrying handle to do any manual handling on the Cardiohelp. On the reverse side of the Cardiohelp is the monitoring plug-in panel, where the ECMO pump and oxygenator will be located. All of the patient and console monitoring arise from the plug-in monitoring part of the console, and at no point during the ECMO run should these be directly detached from the console. Any problems relating to the console or hardware or the circuit should be escalated to the on-call perfusionist via the Barts switchboard. The Cardiohelp console is located on its own transportation trolley known as the Sprinter cart. On the Sprinter cart, you will find a full medium cylinder of oxygen, a mechanical gas blender with two gas lines, an emergency drive unit and its hand crank, and a drip stand. On the drip stand, you will find an emergency laminate, a functioning torch, and 5 ECMO perfusion clamps. The Cardiohelp has 4 integrated sensors to monitor the status of the ECMO. This is the flow and bubble sensor. The red tape at the join indicates it's an arterial monitoring sensor. The arrow on the sensor indicates the direction of blood flow and must be placed on the return line 30 centimeters away from the oxygenator and towards the patient heart. As well as monitoring arterial blood flow, this sensor also detects bubbles in the arterial line. If a bubble is detected, this will be flagged up in the intervention menu with a red or yellow alarm, and a sound will be heard. The sensor also detects the temperature of the blood returning back to the patient. The Cardiohelp also has a venous bubble sensor, as indicated by the blue tape at the join. The sensor is placed at least 30 centimeters away from the oxygenator inlet on the drainage tubing. If a bubble is found in the drainage tubing, this will be flagged in the intervention menu and a red or yellow alarm will be seen and heard. When the Cardiohelp is not in use, the sensors should be wound loosely around the slide rails found on either side of the consoles, with the sensors tucked into the console to prevent damage to these sensors. This is the Cardiohelp integrated pressure monitoring cable, which measures the ECMO pressures at 3 different points: the venous pressure, also known as the pre-oxygenator pressure, the arterial pressure, also known as the post-oxygenator pressure, and the internal pressure, also known as P-int. In the event that the integrated pressure monitoring cable reads unreliably or is unavailable, these pressures can be transduced externally. It is critical that the pressures are always transduced during an ECMO run to ensure therapy is within safe parameters. Pressures from the console can be externally transduced from these 3 points, which are color-coded for clarity. This is the handheld venous probe. It measures the blood parameters of the patient by non-invasive optical sensors. The venous probe is attached to the drainage tubing during the ECMO run, and it measures the SpO2, hematocrit, HB, and venous temperatures. When removing the venous probe away from any attachment, always press down on the release button found on the probe head. Then remove the lug away from the tab of the correlating housing. When not in use, the venous probe should be rehoused in the measuring cell of the blue safety bar. The Cardiohelp user interface is a touchscreen, and the power button can be found here. After the self-test, the Cardiohelp will go to the startup menu as seen. The console will auto-lock the touchscreen after 1 minute of inactivity. To unlock the touchscreen, simply touch the touchscreen and press 1 followed by the 2. This is the status bar and it indicates the alarm status of the console. In this institution, the parameters list is what we use. In the parameters list, you'll find flow measured in litres per minute, revolutions measured in revolutions per minute, venous pressure, arterial pressure, internal pressure, arterial temperature, the delta P, also known as the pressure drop or the transmembrane pressure, and venous oxygen saturations. In the blood parameters list, you'll find the flow, revolution, venous and arterial temperatures, HB, hematocrit, and venous saturations. This is the ambulance transfer screen. As you can see, the parameters are quite enlarged and this wouldn't be used at the bedside. This is the intervention menu. Here you will find the interventions for pressure and bubble. You can adjust your pressure parameters by going into the alarm settings and highlighting and toggling. You'll also find where you can reset your bubble sensors in this menu. This is the timer screen. On this you will find 4 independent timers. To pull up the last alarms, simply go into the menu tab, go to the panel list, and you'll find the alarm history. To pause a current alarm, simply press the bell. The Cardiohelp system comes with 3 alarm levels. A yellow alarm, which is a low priority alarm, a yellow flashing alarm, which is a medium priority alarm, and a red alarm, which is a high priority alarm. The Cardiohelp is always attached to mains power, even if it's not in clinical use, as this will help keep the battery from discharging and preserve the lithium battery integrity. The battery status can be found in the bottom left corner. When removing from mains, it will flash yellow and tell you how much battery is left on the console. In the event of a touchscreen failure, you can directly control the console by activating the emergency button found here. To do so, pull up the flap, push firmly down on the button for 3 beeps, and this will activate the emergency mode. This button overrides alarms and interventions and allows the user to control the Cardiohelp using only the rotary knob and adjusting the RPM. The status bar of the touchscreen will continually display emergency mode in red, but no other alarm or message will be heard or seen. In the event of a motor failure, the emergency drive unit and the hand crank can be used to generate RPMs to maintain patient flows. The flows generated by the hand crank can only be seen on the touchscreen. The RPMs, however, can be seen at the top of the drive unit as well as on top of the console. Whilst the ECMO is stationary and by the bedside, the hand crank is mounted onto its own bracket. However, during ambulance transport, the hand crank will be mounted directly onto the console, like this. For more information regarding the hand crank operation, please refer to the motor failure video. If in any event you have to activate the emergency mode or experience a motor failure, the on-call perfusionist should be immediately contacted and the console should be changed out. The Cardiohelp ECMO circuit is centered by the red diamond oxygenator. This is the centrifugal pump, which is backed onto the oxygenator. The blood travels down the drainage line into the centrifugal pump, pumped into the oxygenator, where gas is added via the green line before going into the return tubing and back to patient. As the blood passes down the drainage tubing under negative pressure, the first place it's going to meet is your venous bubble sensor, where any bubbles from this side will be detected in the intervention menu. It then makes its way past the venous saturation probe, where you can start monitoring your hematocrit and HB. Then it's going to make its way into the centrifugal pump, and any air is going to be vented through the yellow port. At the centrifugal pump is where we measure integrated pressure monitoring. Under positive pressure, it pushes the blood along the membrane, which then travels down the return line Any bubbles will be detected by your bubble and flow sensor, and the flow will be displayed on your console. There are 2 ECMO access ports on the Cardiohelp, also known as pigtails. One of them is on the pre-oxy side and the other on the top post-oxy side. These are routinely used to sample the pre- and post-oxy blood gases whilst the patient is on ECMO. They are also used in the de-airing efforts in both minor and major air. The downward-facing ports are attachments for the heater coolers to ensure that your patient is kept at the desired temperature. It's also really important to note that you should never block off or occlude the exhaust pipe. This completes the introduction to the Cardiohelp ECMO hardware and the circuit as part of the ECMO training series. Thank you for watching.